Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
The year is 1848 and gold has been discovered at Sutter's Mill in California in the southern area of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. The gold rush has started and the pioneers would begin their mass exodus to California in seek of a better life. These pioneers were generally referred to as the 49ers in reference to 1849, the year that the gold rush hype was at its peak. One group of 49ers, known as the San Joaquin Company, decided to leave a little bit too late in the season. When snow began to fall on the Sierra Nevada mountains, it rendered the dirt trails impassable by the pioneer wagon trains. The stories and scars of the Donner Party were still fresh on everyone's mind. They were a pioneer group that got caught in a snowstorm in the Sierra Nevada mountain range and ended up cannibalizing one another to survive. There was word of another trail that traveled south of the Sierra Nevada mountain range where the San Joaquin Company could possibly avoid the snowfall. This trail was known as the Old Spanish Trail. As the pack of pioneers traveled the Old Spanish Road, some of them became restless. One day a young man rode into camp and showed some of the people a hand-sketched map that showed a fictitious shortcut across the desert to a place called Walker Pass. Most people agreed that this would cut off 500 miles of travel distance, and so the majority of the 107 wagons decided to take this supposed shortcut. This would be the worst decision of their lives. They would have to travel through gaping canyons, over rocky summits, and across barren valleys. 2 months of traveling through a barren wasteland of a desert would follow. Many of the pioneer families were giving up hope. They were running out of water and their oxen were becoming famished and weak. Many of the 49ers defected and tried to find their own way out of this desolate valley. After sending 2 young riders to go retrieve supplies for the rest of the party, they were able to return and extract the few remaining pioneers out of that valley. As the remaining survivors made their way west out of the valley, one man took a moment to stop and turn around and proclaim, "Goodbye, Death Valley." And the morbid name for the valley still stands today. Packed up, ready to take off here. We're camping the first night, so we got sleeping bags and tents and all the camping gear and stuff. Got Nick's Lowrider S here. My Street Glide Special. Andrew's Road King. You get everything, dude?
Yeah. I hope so. We'll find out tonight.
Yeah, let's do it. Dude, Brandon, the new addition to the crew on the new Road King, dude, I love it.
Yeah, buddy.
Whenever you bring Brandon along, it's just a party.
I hope. I sure hope so. It's gonna be fun.
You look like you're ready, man.
I've got, I think, almost too much stuff.
You look like you've done this before.
You guys are going camping with 2 veteran campers.
Danielle loading up on the new Dyna.
Dyna D.
Tell us about your new Dyna, Danielle.
So this is a 2015 Street Bob that has been converted into almost a lowrider. We got a dual disc front end. We got Roland sands everywhere. Performance machine. Olin's in the rear. GP in the front. Custom paint. This thing is nice.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, is this a Street Bob? Like, this does not look like a Street Bob.
No, it got done up.
Yeah, it did. Sick.
Sick.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you could find a rock, you'd be okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go check on Jamie. Dang, dude. You got everything packed down pretty slim.
Yeah, man. We're good. We're ready. Roll, brother. Where are we going? Where I lay my head is home. Oh, okay. You know? Wherever I may roam. You look like you might be a bum with a motorcycle. Hell yeah, dude. I'm rolling like a wolf.
Dude, I love the pillowcase.
I'm a traveling hobo.
Moto hobo.
So the plan was to have a 2-day round trip to Death Valley. We would head out Saturday evening after work, shoot out the 10 freeway to the 57 north, out the 210, then up the 15 over the Cajon Pass. We would then branch off and shoot up the 395 to just south of Randsburg. We decided to make this trip a little bit of a hybrid trip. We were going to be out on the road for 2 nights. The first night we decided to do a little bit of moto camping, which was Jamie's idea, which turned out being awesome. I think we're going to incorporate some moto camping into all of our trips now. And the second night we decided to treat ourselves and we stayed at the Death Valley Inn. With moto camping, you definitely have to take some extra gear and equipment along. So most of us packed a tent and a sleeping bag, food and cooking supplies and extra water, and headed out. It was getting to be that time of day when the sun was setting, our feet were kicked back, and the air cools down. We knew we still had about 100 miles to ride, and we'd be trying to find our camp spot in some random dirt road off the main highway. We were coming up to the Cajon Pass. I was just crossing my fingers that we wouldn't have bumper-to-bumper traffic going over the mountains. It was looking like we were going to be setting up camp in the dark, which personally sometimes I prefer. So we arrived at our camp spot. We rode up 395 and basically turned off on a dirt road, and things got real sketchy there for a second because we all were on obviously our heavy 800-pound Harley-Davidsons, and we hit sand real quick and we started washing out everywhere. Brandon had a really close call. I thought for sure he was going down. I think everybody had a close call actually. We all just about went down. Things got real sketchy for me as well there for a second. You getting some seating, Brandon?
Fire pit.
Oh, fire pit. Oh, there you go. Okay.
No, that one's actually like, I didn't bring.
Jamie's steaks were frozen, so we had to thaw them out. Sat them on top of the transmission here. File up the steak a little bit and put it on the fire. Alright. Thawed out, you ready to go?
Yes, sir. We'll get her going. Really? Don't hurt yourself. Yeah. Taking any longer, dude. We're gonna starve to death.
Oh, like you missed a meal.
Steak class 101. I don't want to.
It's not about to start right now.
Yeah. Keep us living and you wind up dead. Hey, this is right.
But we got everything all set up. The camp's all set up. Got the fire going, cooking some steaks by the fire. Yeah, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Got the tents all set up. Yeah, life is good right now. And yeah, we're gonna get some more food going, get some dessert going or something, tell some ghost stories. But yeah, so tonight we're basically sleeping in the dirt, and tomorrow we're gonna be sleeping in Death Valley. We're gonna do something a little bit nicer tomorrow night. We're staying at a pretty good hotel, so.
Cooking like that, dude. You're my best friend.
Hey guys, from now on, the only guy's schedule that matters is Jamie's. So, say, Jamie, when can you go on a trip? We're gonna plan.
I'm gonna cook the rest of it more though.
Jamie, that is 1%.
We got a little bit.
There was only one thing Ray could say was I don't want a pickle.
He doesn't want a pickle. You know what he wants?
I just want to ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want to die. Just want to ride on my motorcycle. Cool.
What is that? E.T. singer? Waking up for the morning, checking out the sunrise, and last night got a little bit chilly, I will admit. Yeah, it was cold last night. I haven't slept on the ground in a little while, so yeah, that was an interesting night. Starting off with a monster, Danielle?
Cheers.
Nice. Get the energy pumping early, huh? I love it. How'd you sleep, Nick?
Not great. Yeah, I was a little cold.
Yeah, me too.
I don't sleep very well anyways.
Yeah, I was freezing. How'd you sleep, Jamie?
I was all right. It was pretty normal. Yeah, it was good.
I don't know.
It wasn't cold, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Got the fire going this morning. Gonna cook up some hot chocolate and coffee. Brandon hooking it up with the jet boil.
Jitter juice for the morning.
Nice, man. Some Black Rifle coffee there.
Oh, the best.
Not a sponsored video, by the way.
No, not a sponsored video.
Just
But if they want to send us a couple free bags, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, that would be good. Already in my life.
We're open to being sponsored, but got some hot chocolate there. Freedom roast, huh?
Yeti mug, yeah.
You love your freedom?
Love my freedom, and it tastes good too.
All right. the bikes going and head into Death Valley. So pretty excited. So we are here in Randsburg, kind of a ghost town style place, but people still live here, and it's kind of an off-road highway vehicle like place to stop off at and grab a bite to eat and stuff. But yeah, this place is just trapped in time. It's like an old like little western town. No one's here right now. It's Sunday morning and it's pretty much deserted right now. The plan was to continue north on 395 and make our way into Ridgecrest. From there we would head east on the 178 and go through Trona, an old mining town. Trona is situated on the western edge of the Searless Lake, a dry lake bed in the Searless Valley. The town gets its name from the mineral trona, which is abundant in the nearby lake bed. In the late 1800s, the mining industry set up around the Searless dry lake bed. Nowadays, the Searless Valley Minerals plant is the largest employer in town, where they mine raw materials. Other operations in town include evaporative salt extraction from the dry lake bed. Trona is known for its isolation and desolation. The 178 soon turns into Trona Wild Roads Road, and then branches off and turns into Panamint Valley Road. Once you take that road all the way to the north, it dead ends into Highway 190, and then we would head east over the mountain into Death Valley. The plan was to enter in from the west side, end up somewhere in the middle for the night, and then the next day head southeast out of Death Valley. Something that's cool about this area is all the random remote roads just out in the middle of nowhere. Roads that if you sat on all day, you might see one or two cars pass. We decided to take one last stop before we went over the hill into Death Valley.
I don't want to go down on this. It's like cheese grater.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah.
We kind of blocked the road. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, before the shot. Exactly what I pictured coming up this road.
Have you
Death Valley is one of the hottest, driest places on earth. You don't really go there to see wildlife. You will, however, catch the occasional glimpse of a donkey, or is it a mule? I can't really tell the difference. One of the most famous history stories in the Death Valley is the 20 mule teams. These big mule teams packed 20 mules pulling these massive wagons hauling borax from the Harmony Borax Works near Furnace Creek to the railroad near Mojave. Hauling the borax to the Death Valley's floor was a 165-mile 10-day trip, so to make the best use of time, they just started building bigger and bigger wagons and harnessed up more and more mules. They eventually ended up using 20 mules to haul these huge wagons that were 16 feet and 6 feet deep, each of the wagons weighing 7,800 pounds empty.
That can ease the pain and the sorrow for everyone.
There's something that feels really good about riding a motorcycle down a long, deserted desert highway off into the horizon as far as the eye can see. Highway 190 is definitely one of my favorite roads in Death Valley. It takes you up and over the mountain range, and as you crest up over the top, you can see way down into the valley, and you have some pretty epic views of the desolate desert wasteland. Death Valley has a long, rich history of miners, the most famous miner being Walter Scott. Walter Scott, or better known as Scotty, conned a bunch of businessmen into investing into his so-called gold mine. After stealing all the investors' money and not coming up with any gold, Scotty indulged in the finest hotels and saloons all over California and Nevada. One investor, Albert Johnson, stuck with him over the years and finally decided to go out to Death Valley to see what his investment had been buying him. Scotty paraded him around Death Valley in hopes that Albert would get fatigued and give up. Albert, being a city guy, he wasn't really accustomed to the intense heat and harsh conditions. But after Mr. Johnson visited Death Valley, he fell in love with the valley and decided to build a castle for both him and Scotty. The castle today still stands and it's known as Scotty's Castle. It is now owned by the National Park and is open to tourists. This is one of the places that I've always wanted to visit, but unfortunately when we got to Death Valley, Scotty's Castle was closed and we were unable to visit the historical landmark.
Just stopped off at Stovepipe Wells here and had some lunch at the Badwater Saloon, some burgers. This is pretty much the first place that you hit if you're coming in from the west side. So we're gonna go down to Badwater now and we're staying at Furnace Creek. We stayed here one time like 4 years ago. Not a bad little place to stay as well. There's really only two places to stay in Death Valley as far as I know. There's Stovepipe Wells and then Furnace Creek. There's Furnace Creek Ranch and Furnace Creek Inn. We're staying at the Furnace Creek Inn. But if you're looking for lunch or a good place to stop, you got gas here as well. Right across the street, you got a little gas station. They've only got the like 85 or 87 octane. They don't have the 91. But yeah, pretty warm out here today. It's like 90 degrees, but it cools off quite a bit. I think we might hit like a sand dune or two on the way over there as well.
Oh, open dip. Is it just me? There's or water. Is that a lake? There's a lake. You guys got water?
So we made it to Furnace Creek, which is where we were going to stay for the night. It's kind of the centrally located hub within the national park. But there was one more stop that we needed to make before we were going to end our day. We wanted to stop off at the Badwater Basin. There's a lot of really cool extremes in Death Valley National Park. It's the hottest, lowest, and driest national park in the United States. And in Badwater Basin, you have the lowest elevation in North America at 282 feet below sea level. I definitely wouldn't recommend coming here in the summer. Death Valley is one of the hottest places in the entire world. The hottest temperature ever recorded here was 134 degrees or 56.7 degrees Celsius, which is only rivaled by the Sahara Desert and the Middle East. But it seems like every year I hear of tourists riding motorcycles into Death Valley in August. I don't know if they're just gluttons for punishment, or they just want to experience the heat, or they want to challenge themselves. I don't know what it is. But we did this trip in October, which I feel like is one of the best months of the year to go to Death Valley. Badwater Basin is kind of a cool place to check out. The wind was so intense that day that none of my audio turned out. But at the Badwater Basin, you've got a small spring-fed pool of bad water, of course, that is undrinkable mostly due to all the salt that collects down there. Next to the pool, you have what looks like really rough salt flats. There's a thin layer of salt crust that forms into hexagonal honeycomb shapes. This is due to the repeated freeze and thaw and then evaporation cycles that happen down there in the basin. There is a path that's been matted down where you can walk out and get further into the basin. On the edges of the path, if it's been untouched, you'll see these hexagonal honeycomb shapes made out of crusted salt. The day was winding down, but I still wanted to make one more detour before we headed back to Furnace Creek for the night. There's a one-way road called Artist's Palette that extends off of Badwater Road. If you're headed north on Badwater Road back to Furnace Creek, you might as well take it because you're going in generally the same direction. This is easily one of the coolest roads in Death Valley. You go back into this small little windy canyon road. You get a whole bunch of different varieties of rocks and colors back there. The different colors on the rocks are formed by the oxidation of different metals. I feel like every once in a while I have this moment where all the planning, the traveling, the preparation, the bad weather, the good weather, everything comes together and you have that perfect moment. That moment that can only be accomplished by a lot of hard work and effort and then just the right amount of luck that you never can control. Riding my Harley on the Artist's Palette Road at sunset that day was one of those moments. One of those moments where you feel like you're just in a different world. Maybe you feel like you're in a movie because everything is just too perfect. I just checked into the hotel here. Our room came with a complimentary golf cart. So we're gonna go back up to the parking lot, grab our bikes. We requested a special Harley parking for our room, so we got a little patch of dirt for the bikes.
They were dumb enough to give it to us.
I know. How about that? 5 Harley-Davidson hooligans to give us special parking. So yeah, we got a sauna, we got the natural hot spring pool. We'll be doing a little bit later.
we're doing some fine dining tonight as well. And yeah, I'm excited about this. But maybe a little bit of tennis tomorrow morning.
We're in the sauna now. For a long day riding in Death Valley, we're gonna hit up the sauna.
Alright, and I want to tell you guys. The real way to pronounce it.
Sauna.
There's a lot of band here.
Sauna.
Sauna. Alright.
Oh dude. Oh yeah.
Feel it. Alright. Yeah, just kind of reset. It's Death Valley during the summer.
My lens is fogging up. It's like 140.
Ooh. Yeah, that's nothing. So just grease slow.
I'm gonna take my camera out of here.
Alright, in through the nose.
I have no idea what's in. So first night we roughed it. We did some camping. It was a lot of fun actually. And tonight we stayed at this little casita here. We're at the Furnace Creek. I think it's called like the Desert Inn or something like that. This is easily the best hotel in Death Valley, guys. Not that there's a whole lot, but there's only a few, but yeah, this is the best one. So if you guys are looking to stay at a really nice place in Death Valley, the inn, the Desert Inn at Furnace Creek. But yeah, so we're headed out right now, but it's a little bit windy. I think it might actually rain on the way home as well. But it's been a successful trip, tons of fun. Death Valley is definitely a cool place to bring the motorcycles. So yeah, we had a snoring incident last night. But other than that, everyone slept well. But yeah, so we're gonna head out here.
We were all in a little bit of a hurry to get home, so we didn't take the time to stop off at some of the scenic views you can get. I would highly recommend checking out Dante's View. It's one I've done before. It's a fun windy road up to the top of a mountain where you have one of the best views in the national park. You're overlooking Badwater Basin and it's an incredible vista. We followed the 190 over to Death Valley Junction and took the 127 south to the 15 freeway. But I definitely see myself coming back to Death Valley every so often. One, because of the close proximity of where I live. Two, because it's just such a rad place with such a cool history. Death Valley will always be one of my favorite places to ride. Maybe it's just the natural phenomenons that take place there because of the climate and the altitude. Maybe it's the rich mining history and the cool landmarks that can still be found there today. Maybe it's the name and the history of Death Valley that give you that slight sense of risk, and every time you leave that valley you get a sense of having conquered death. Whatever it may be, there's only one thing I know for sure. It's best experienced on two wheels.
Okay, put the hand up. Okay, then don't move because it's gonna be 3, 2.
Who invited the alien?
1.
They prefer immigrants.